let us begin with our target speaker. Marvin, come on up, please.
I can't do it. It'll never happen. I can't speak. Words can have such a tremendous impact. The power of words can potentially damage your belief. It can damage your courage, and it can damage your vision. What words do you speak to yourself? The year was 1999, and I was in the 5th grade. I had an idea. I wanted to run for the class president. I wanted to do something significant. But there was a problem. I didn't believe that I could speak. Because if I knew that if I would walk up to somebody face to face and try to speak to them, or if I spoke into a group, or if I tried to talk on the phone, or order my food, I would more likely stutter. Often, I would stutter a lot. Thinking about, and when it comes to running for the class president, one thing I really didn't think about was that you can't just type up a little message on your computer and have it put into a pamphlet distributed throughout the entire school. No, I had to deliver a speech in front of the entire school through the intercom system. Instantly, I knew I was doomed. The other candidates were much more eloquent than I was. There was no way I could win. But regardless of this limiting belief, something inside me just led me to do it anyways. I wrote out my speech trying to convince the school to vote for me for the class president, and then the day came for me to give my speech, and I fell on my face. Afterwards, people asked me, "Marvin, were you okay? It sounded like you were crying. What was the matter?" I was like, "Yeah, I was just having a challenging time." And right then, things began to snowball. I started to develop beliefs, limiting beliefs, that I can't speak. Over a decade and a half later, I had a concrete belief or a concrete habit of speaking avoidance until I decided to go back to school and major in business administration. One thing I didn't do was I didn't look at the curriculum and look to see what was included in that degree. Speaking with my counselor or with my advisor, I discovered public speaking class. What in the world? I can't take a public speaking class. There's no way. I can't just sit in the back of the classroom like I would like to and just not say anything. I would have to speak. But something within me wanted to do it anyways. I watched all the other speakers get up there and eloquently communicate their message. And I thought, well, I think I can possibly do it, but I'm not really sure. Maybe I should talk about something I know a lot about, which is golf. I wrote out my outline. I wanted to communicate with the audience why there are 13 clubs in the golf bag. I figured I know a lot about that. I should be able to walk up there and just communicate that message. And so I wrote out my outline, ready to give my speech. And it was a feeling I haven't really discovered before. I haven't really came across that feeling. It's like you're almost floating as you're walking up in front of the classroom, in front of 30 people. And I gave my speech. And I fell on my face again. But this time, I was picked up by my classmates. I assumed that they would look at me and kind of almost maybe hold back their laughter as I was struggling. But instead, they admired my courage for getting up there and doing my best, even though that I stuttered. I started to incorporate a new perspective. My perspective began to shift. I started using words that were more empowering. We had 6 speeches, in speech after speech, I saw a little bit of improvement. I decided to record myself to hear what I sounded like, which I kind of didn't want to do that because I ended up counting like 90 ums in my fourth speech. But there was no all-counter grammarian, so at that time it was okay. So at that time, I started to see improvement. I started using more empowering words, and words that empowered myself to move on and to stop avoiding speaking and to actually take speaking opportunities on. Then after that, I decided to join Toastmasters, and that's when I learned all about the all-counter and the grammarian. And now I heard that, and now when I hear ums and fill words, now I get whiplash every time I hear one, which I'm glad I didn't have back in the public speaking class because I probably would have, I don't know if I would have survived. What words do you say to yourself? What empowering words do you use? It all comes down to our why. The why is the window holding yearning. It's when you're yearning for more, not seeing yourself as you are, rather seeing yourself as the person you could become. Think about the words that you speak to yourself each and every day. And remember, it's amazing what you can achieve on the other side of your fears.